Hello everybody, I'm SolitaryFalcon, and today I'll be ranking all the boss fights from LEGO Star Wars Complete Saga. So there are 15 bosses in the game, and I'll be ranking these from worst to best. I'll look at how difficult these boss fights are, because when it comes to a boss, I feel like I want to be challenged fighting them, because, you know, it's a boss. I will also take into account the enjoyability and fun factor I have in fighting these bosses. Do let me know in the comments who your favourite boss fight is, and if you've gone to enjoy today's video, a like would be greatly appreciated. Right then, let's get into it. In last place is Zam Wessel, and this is a bad boss. Once you've spent the entire level chasing Zam, and don't get me started on those proton bombs, you get to have the boss fight at the very end. But is this really a boss fight? All you have to do is simply shoot at her and the health bar just drops. It's that simple. So it's quite fitting that the worst level in the game should have the worst boss, and that is definitely Zam Wessel. At number 14 is Boba Fett from Cloud City Trap, and this is quite an easy fight. So you follow Boba into this small room, and all you have to do is avoid his attacks when he's on his jetpack, and when he lands, you shoot back at him. I felt this fight could have had a lot more to it, because once you defeat him, you end up chasing him up to the cutscene where he escapes. This fight would have been better if you fought him across different stages of the level, similar to a few other bosses on this list. A few improvements could have put Boba Fett higher. Unfortunately, he only comes in at number 14. At number 13 is Count Dooku from Attack of the Clones, and this is probably the weakest of the lightsaber battles. You start out as Obi-Wan and Anakin, and you have to fight Dooku a few times before he puts this force barrier around him which you cannot get through. He then starts throwing objects at you which you have to counter back. The second half of the fight is probably the best, because this is where you get to play as Master Yoda, and can I just say, Yoda has the best moves out of any Jedi in the game. The main issue with this fight is the second player doesn't get to do much. The only time is when Count Dooku starts electrocuting you and you have to switch to the other player. This boss fight was really disappointing in my opinion, and there are much better final boss fights in the game. At number 12 is Darth Vader from Dagobah. Just to note, this is not the Darth Vader, but Darth Vader Illusion. This fight sees you follow Vader across different platforms, because whenever he takes damage, he jumps up to them. And what I really like about this fight is that you and your partner have to work together in order to get to him. And there are quite a few different puzzles in order to reach the platforms. Once you've chased him to the ground and defeated him, he just disappears, as if the fight never happened. Are there other lightsaber fights that are better in this game? Yes, but it has a lot more to it than the Count Dooku fight. At number 11 is the second Boba Fett boss, this time from the Great Pit of Carkoon, and the setting of this fight is amazing. So once you get across the different barges, you have to fight a few enemies before taking on the bounty hunter. And here, the boss fight follows the exact same as in Cloud City. When Boba Fett is on his jetpack, avoid his attacks, and once he's on the ground, attack him and repeat this. The reason I put this fight higher than the Cloud City is because I really like the environment. You have Jabba's barge in the background, and you're fighting over the Sarlacc pit. Unlike in Cloud City, you actually get to kill Boba Fett this time. It might be a short fight, but it has a satisfying ending. At number 10 we're off to Mos Eisley, and here we're taking on the Imperial Spy. Now this is a different fight to the others, because you don't actually take on the boss. Now, let me explain. So in the second half of the level, you're following the spy all the way through until you reach the Millennium Falcon, and here he calls in reinforcements of stormtroopers. And let me tell you now, he will be calling in lots and lots and lots of stormtroopers. Eventually the spy does drop down, but he does not do any fighting and he's an open target for you. And fun fact, the spy does appear in a cutscene at the end of A New Hope for some light humour. Now this might not be the most engaging of fights or the most iconic, but it has something different about it which I really like, which is why the Imperial Spy makes the top 10. At number 9 is Jango Fett from Jedi Battle, and the Geonosis Arena is one of the most iconic levels in the game. So first of all, Jango has more hearts than both the Boba Fett fights combined. Also you get to play as Mace Windu, which is very thematic for this level. The fight sees you deflecting the blasters back at Jango while he's on his jetpack. Eventually he will drop down and start running away from you, but don't let him run too far, as he will start launching missiles at you, and they can be quite deadly. This fight is quite iconic and very cinematic for a LEGO game, and that is why Jango Fett had to be in the top 10. At number 8 is the Rancor from Jabba's Palace. Now I know I said the Imperial Spy was different, but this fight is on a whole new level. First of all, you can't kill him like all the other bosses in the game, so you have to be, as Gollum would say, sneaky. To start, you have to use C-3PO or R2-D2 to open the hatch, which will release a Gamorrean guard, who the Rancor will see as fresh meat. When he is distracted, shoot at the container that he is standing by, which will blow up. The final heart is a throwback to the film, where the Rancor will move to the gate and you have to pull the levers which will crush him. This is such an iconic fight, and he captured it so perfectly that it had to be in the top 10. At number 7 is Count Dooku from Chancellor in Peril, and this boss fight is so much better than the one from Attack of the Clones. For one thing, you won't just be fighting Dooku, you also have to contend with battle droids and super battle droids. Also, Dooku uses his lightning a lot more, so the second player has a much greater role in this fight than he does in the first. And quite similar to the Darth Vader in Dagobah fight, Dooku does run away to a platform which you have to follow. This fight is quite amazing and is definitely an upgrade on the first one, and that is why it's definitely in the top 10. Just missing out on the top 5 is General Grievous, and this is an underrated boss fight. Grievous is such an imposing figure with his lightsabers constantly coming at you. This fight utilises the second player to great effect, as whenever Grievous runs away, you have to shoot the explosives that are near him. This will draw him back into the middle where you can fight him as Obi-Wan. This is probably one of the more action-packed bosses in the game, and I really like the balance between the gameplay and the puzzles. The only issue I have is that this location is not accurate to the film, but don't worry, the Skywalker Saga addresses this to perfection. So Grievous is a solid boss, but it just misses out on the top 5. Coming in at number 5 is Jango Fett from Discovery on Kamino, and this is a cinematic masterpiece. Like most of the bosses in the game, you have to chase Jango through the level until you get to the very end where you get to have the boss fight, and here the fun really begins. Not only do you have to contend with Jango, but you're also up against Boba Fett, who's in Slave 1, and he's just raining fire at you. To distract him, you have to use R4 to activate turrets. Don't forget, you also have to contend with Jango Fett as well. In order to defeat him, you have to deflect the blasters back at him, and then things get really spicy. He starts launching rockets at you that you have to deflect using the Force. This is an amazing boss fight and one of the more challenging in the game, and it is definitely worthy of being in the top 5. Coming in at number 4 is Anakin Skywalker from Darth Vader, and this is an amazing level and it has a great boss to finish with. So the fight itself is a rather simple one, as all you have to do is use the slam effect to defeat Anakin, but if you're playing this on co-op, then this boss becomes really juicy. So you and your partner have been working your way all the way through to complete the level, and at the very end, you both have to fight one another in Mortal Kombat, and this makes this boss really engaging. And apparently, if you do not complete the fight quickly, then the environment around you starts collapsing, and if you fall into the lava, then the entire fight resets from the very beginning. This is an amazing level and a great boss to finish with. Coming in third place is Darth Vader from Cloud City Trap, and this is probably the longest boss in the game, so Vader has not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 stages to this boss fight. The first area captures the scene from the movie to perfection, where you are in the Carbonite area. Here, you have to use R2-D2 to spray the steam on Vader while attacking him with Luke. The second area is perfect for co-op play. Here, you have to use Luke to unlock the Force puzzles, and R2-D2 has to use the droid panels to bring Darth Vader into the fight. But don't think you'll be fighting him alone, as he will be calling on stormtroopers to try and take you on. The third area follows a similar pattern, where you have to use R2 to fly over and activate the panels. This will kill the stormtroopers, and this is probably one of the most brutal ways on killing a stormtrooper. Once you've done this, you then have to counter the objects that Darth Vader throws at you. This will draw him into a fight in which you have to engage with him. And the final area is your classic LEGO boss fight. Here, you fight Vader through different stages of the level until you reach the very end. This is an amazing boss, where the real hero of the fight is R2-D2. There is so much going on, with lots of areas to explore, so many enemies to fight, and Darth Vader is worthy of taking the bronze medal. Just missing out on the top spot is Darth Maul, and this boss can be summed up in 4 words: Duel of the Fates. That's it, that's all you need to know. But honestly, this is a solid boss fight where there are 2 main areas. The first sees you fighting Darth Maul and battle droids. Now I know it might seem weird that battle droids make an appearance here, but let's be honest, henchmen do turn up a lot in the early LEGO game boss fights. Back to Star Wars, and in the first area, you have to deflect the blasters of the battle droids before Maul starts throwing objects at you. Here, you have to counter them back at him, and you have to do this 3 times. The level has a similar pattern to the other bosses, where you are pursuing Darth Maul, and don't get me started in the area where you are fighting all those battle droids. The second time you fight Darth Maul is in the final stage of the level, and here, he has a lot more hearts than he did the first time. This fight has a lot more action to it, as you actually get to engage in combat with Darth Maul. Once you've attacked him a few times, he will jump to a platform where he will start throwing objects at you. One of these is a red bike, and it has been a mystery to me as to where this red bike came from. With Duel of the Fates playing in the background, this is a great boss fight that just misses out on the top spot, and it has one of the most gut-wrenching cutscenes in all of the LEGO Star Wars games. And at number 1 is Emperor Palpatine from Jedi Destiny. The final boss in the game takes the spot, and can I just start by saying, look at the number of hearts this boss has. This fight sees you play as father and son duo Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Once you've attacked the Emperor a few times, he will run away to a different area and you have to try and pursue him. But the real boss is not the Emperor, but those Royal Guard. So whereas Darth Maul has battle droids and Darth Vader has stormtroopers, the Emperor is calling out these red juggernauts. They are so tough to beat that you're going to need to lie down afterwards. This fight has so many amazing puzzles for you to use, the highlight being where you have to navigate the electric floor. And this is the 3rd time that we've had to face the Emperor in LEGO Star Wars games, the other 2 being LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens and LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. And I have to say, out of the 3, the one I prefer is the Complete Saga. This fight has everything for a perfect boss. Great soundtrack, fun puzzles, amazing gameplay. Emperor Palpatine is the perfect final boss for LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, and that is why it's taken the number 1 spot on this list. So that was my ranking of all the bosses from LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. Let me know below in the comments who your favourite boss is, and if you've gone to enjoy today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more great content. I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope to see you all very soon.